Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. I'm Michael, and this is the Sound Good podcast, and with me today is my co-host, Micah. How you doing, Micah?
I can't believe I'm missing Mess for the stupid bit. Do you have that deja vu, by the way?
Yeah, it's really weird.
I don't know. Anyway, what are we doing today?
What are we doing today, man? We're going to be talking about the newest La Dispute record, Panorama. Came out on the 22nd of March, 2019.
Oh, shit, I didn't listen to that.
What'd you listen to instead?
Oh, no. Britney Spears on 1833 Bargain Boy.
I hate you so much. Oh my god. You're mixing the timelines right now, dude, and this isn't going to make sense to anybody other than us. But I just want you to know that I'm upset about it.
I'm making the multiverse creamy.
Because you used the same intro.
You used the same intro.
I know.
What do you mean?
But
no one's going to even know what this is about.
Hey, we're time travelers. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, so yeah, that's the album we're going to be talking about today. La Dispute. Good fun stuff. But first, like usual, the news. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. I just got a bunch of just album release names for news. Pretty much. Oh yeah, dude. There was a bunch of records that came out on the 29th, homie. So many, but the 5 that I'm going to mention are as follows. All right. I'll put some kind of transition there, hopefully, because that sounds really dumb on its own. First up was the newest album by Devin Townsend called Empath. And Micah, I know you know a little bit more about this one than I do.
Yeah, that thing's a little nuts. I mean, I haven't listened to... I'll be real, even though I talk about Devin Townsend and I act like I love him, I haven't really finished an entire, except for Ziltoid 2, which is a double album. I've listened to that in its entirety, but I've never listened to another album in its entirety.
I actually started listening to Empath, and I got through the first two and a half or 3 songs, and then I got to my destination, so I stopped listening.
Yeah. But yeah,
it was pretty good so far.
Wild.
It was pretty good.
It takes you on a trip.
Yeah.
Genesis is a good start. I love the cow moo at the end before the breakdown.
It's really goofy music. It's what you would expect from Devin Townsend.
It takes on a little more serious tone. Like the Spirits Will Collide song is a way more serious song than Genesis. Right after, if you got through 2 or 3 songs, that's the 3rd song. So I'm excited to talk about that if we ever get to it, because that's good. That would be a discussion.
Yeah, it would be fun to talk about.
That's prog in its most caricature form, to say the least.
That's a true statement. Holy shit.
Yeah. What else came out though?
Yeah, what else came out? Mess, as you mentioned in the intro, Micah. Mess's debut LP, Learning How to Talk, came out on the 29th, and oh my god, I've listened to that a couple times already, and that is absolutely fantastic.
Is it? I haven't had a chance yet.
Oh yeah,
I can't decide if I want to wait for my vinyl or not, but that's a long wait.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, it's worth the listen. It's really worth the listen. It's everything you love about every other previous Mess song. Mm-hmm. So there's no wrong in it.
Well, I do love Kevin, and so. I'm so bummed that I missed that show yesterday, because the show that I'm currently missing for
the timelines, dude.
Episode. Anyway,
my head's gonna hurt at the end of this.
How long is the album?
It's it's 27-ish minutes, I want to say.
Okay, how many tracks is it? Is it a proper album?
It's eight tracks.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Jesus, you know what? I should probably check this before I'm just completely
album
wrong.
Right there.
It's 8 tracks, 26 minutes long.
Cool.
But yeah, it's pretty good. I definitely recommend listening to that if you like kind of ambient indie sounding music. Very
good for them. They sold out
energetic.
They sold out their celebration show for the announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the second of these 5 albums that came out on the 29th that I'm going to mention. The third being the new Free Throw album, Tennessee pop punkers and Free Throw. What's Past is Prologue. Another album I've been bumping almost
redundant
too much.
Statement of the month.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
It's a Shakespeare quote. Come on, man.
Shakespeare was a redundant fuck.
Well, yeah.
I bet you would say ATM machine too. Yeah.
But yeah, I've been listening to that album a lot too. Really solid album, honestly.
Is it?
Oh yeah, I love it.
God,
I
have
would.
so much to get caught up on.
Yeah, you do.
And I have a problem because I'm gonna have a distraction, and we'll talk about that in a second. Continue though.
Speaking of, well, I know we weren't speaking of this, but speaking of things that shouldn't be, the new Whitechapel album also came out. The new Whitechapel album, The Valley, came out on the 29th as well.
Well, there's a few songs that shouldn't be.
Yeah, there's a few songs that shouldn't be. Actually, not as bad as I thought it was going to be with their two leading singles, but we will most likely end up talking about that next episode, so we'll just save any and all judgment for that.
For the Sound OK podcast.
For the Sounds OK podcast.
Basically. Yeah, in the same vein, like we attempted to do, it's not as drastic, but we attempted to do a like a Five Finger Death Punch live stream to talk about their most recent album. I think it was the album, I can never remember the name of it because I know Got Your Six, like it stole the Splatterhouse game
yeah, it
artwork.
wasn't that one.
Yeah, it was the other one, but like yeah, it's the album where he calls out Blabbermouth in the lyrics. And it's like, blabbermouth.net.
What the hell?
Because they wrote like articles about him, so he decided, let me just write a song that will never get dated.
It wasn't Injustice for None, was it?
It was Injustice for None.
It was like the stupid fucking like.
It was Injustice for None.
Over-muscled mascot guy pressing a doomsday button with like missiles going off. What is this album art?
Yep.
What the?
It's, it got,
oh my
like,
God.
last time.
Imagine taking this band this seriously.
So, yeah, because before their first album, it was just his face, and you're like, it's stupid, but okay. And then it just progressively every time kept on zooming out to show a full body, and like American Capitalist, it was just like business suit man with that stupid face, and then he just started beefing up. He just started roiding up.
Dude,
becoming a real man, supporting the veterans.
Oh my God. Seeing the progression of their album art is just getting more and more sad. Honestly,
I mean, you don't even have to listen to the music. Yeah, you can tell that the band like falls apart just from the artwork. It's hilarious.
These dudes take this seriously. This is serious.
Yeah. It's that's that flip side where it's like, yeah, we fucking hate Periphery 2, this time it's personal and everything, but it's like at least the song titles are serious, but then they don't take themselves seriously in the final product.
God,
at the very least, I guess. Right?
Yeah,
imagine if Periphery took themselves seriously. I feel like that would kind of ruin it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Anyway, that's
God.
Yeah, we were talking.
We'll talk about Whitechapel.
We went on that tangent from Whitechapel. All right.
It's because we didn't get to do the live stream.
Yeah, it really is. It's fine.
I'm still salty, dude. Fuck you, YouTube.
Hey, man, 24. We're good now. We can do it whenever we want.
Yeah, it's been 24 hours. But yeah, I like
24 hours.
Just because we'll talk about 5 White Finger Chapel Punch.
Yeah,
eventually.
Next episode. Next episode. We've already decided.
Fucking, yeah.
Okay, and the last and final release that I felt was of note for us and for anybody listening was Crafters.
Spoilers.
Oh shit. God, I just had the album title up and I forgot it. Oh God, hate me. Okay. Lasting Efforts. And you said they're from Massachusetts. You looked that up, right?
Yes, they're from Massachusetts.
Yeah. So Massachusetts hardcore band Crafter released an absolute slapper of an album. Yeah, goes hard.
From what I saw, they're metalcore last night, right?
I think I would call them hardcore because they don't have like metalcore characteristics. They're more just chug-a-lug kind of. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a bunch of metalcore string jumps and breakdowns. It's just a bunch of chugging and breakdowns. Definitely hardcore. I like it a lot. I listened to it. Last night the entire way through a couple times. It's pretty pretty solid. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I'm always hit or miss on that genre, so yeah, I'll give it a chance though. Yeah.
But yeah, that is all I have for my news. I am just the album release machine today.
Well,
what do you got?
I kind of didn't save my Word document
containing
my news.
Nice.
So I mean, I only had like 5 things total, so we can just go from memory. It's fine. To be consistent.
What do you mean? Where's your
thematically. Papers? Oh yeah, shit, my owl. Oh, I wasn't feeding him. Oh, it's gonna.
I wasn't expecting you to do that again.
Oh God, I gotta put this in the trash real quick. Oh, I'm sorry, owl. I never got a chance to name. Oh God, time traveling sucks, dude. Anyway,
did we just become a sketch comedy podcast?
I'm fine with that. So I saw Rivers of Nile, as I ranted about for like 30 minutes at the end of like 2 podcasts ago. Not ranted, but like I just like splooshed over. And one of the opening bands, Entheos, who were playing just like Rivers of Nile, were playing their most recent in full. They played their most recent in full, and it's called Dark Future, and it's really cool. They're a really acquired taste tech death band where it's very mellow, but it's still very heavy. It's strange. And
can I just say I absolutely love the term tech death. I don't know why. It just makes me fun. It just makes me laugh. It reminds me of tech decks, like the little mini skateboards.
Yeah.
Every time you say tech death.
I'm doing the 2-finger thing right now.
Yeah, same.
Playing with your skateboard.
Every time you say tech death, I think immediately tech deck. Like, yeah, dude, kickflips.
The little thumb people.
Yeah. Sorry. I had to get that out.
Yeah, but since they are playing Dark Future in its entirety, they decided, I guess, to set up an Audio Tree live session. Which Audio Tree is just, I guess, a place where bands can do just live recordings of their shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they get to share them on YouTube and all that shit too.
Yeah, so yeah, they have a live album of that they put out on Friday. If you want to check out what they sound like live, it's like the instruments picture perfect. My only complaint from that mix is probably just that the vocals are a little way too low.
Low or loud?
Low.
Oh wow,
yeah,
sounds like something we're going to talk about later in the episode too.
Right? Yeah, you can barely hear her screams, which is kind of a bummer, but it's whatever.
God, did you hear that foreshadowing?
Oh wow. And then another new, I guess it was released on Friday, but it's not an album release, is that German consistently offending band Rammstein decided to so yeah, they announced their 7th album, which is the first album in over 10 years. It's going to be out May 7th. There's no title yet, but so just like they put out a song called America, they put out a song called Deutschland, and it's basically just a song that kind of goes through all of German history, which leads to some people not being too happy.
Yeah. This music video is controversial because like I haven't seen it yet, but like, I guess it shows like concentration camp imagery and like Nazi imagery and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's in a glorifying manner, but like
it is not.
But like yeah, Germany's got really strict laws about like showing like Nazi symbols and like referencing to Nazis in any way, shape, or form in like public media, just because like they don't like being reminded of that time for some reason. Oh wow, I don't know.
What do you mean?
Oh, what happened, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely understand how this is totally a conversation in Germany at the moment, probably just like of what artistic expression is like allowed to do, I imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean,
especially in their country, but like people online in America that are like offended by that, like I don't fully get it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like that's a bit much, guys. Like you can understand the context super easily because it literally starts like dudes are in like chainmail and shit. Like it's the beginning of German history and it goes through all of it.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure the imagery is just used as like a more of like an educational like usage than just a glorification usage or anything like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it completely.
I
mean, you're actively lying to yourself if you go through any country's history and you just decide to blind yourself to all the shitty parts because humans are shitty, like
right,
and you gotta know.
Yeah,
but yeah, there was that, and then oh no,
Oh, hey,
Am I blanking?
we can't forget the King Gizzard track release.
Oh,
the
shit.
new one, the
Yeah.
new track release for
So we had
Boogeyman
Fishing
Sam.
for Fishies. Yeah, now we have Boogeyman Sam.
Boogeyman Sam, and boy howdy is that song a trip.
I didn't listen to it yet. I'm gonna hold out to listen to that album.
Oh boy. If you've listened to the other two songs, just let me tell you, they are all 3 different songs.
Is it actually scary like the Boogeyman?
No, it's more like the song Boogie.
Okay.
Like, like you're boogieing to a song or whatever. It's like that kind of Boogeyman.
Okay. I feel like they could have gone terrifying with it, like in a video or something.
No, they definitely didn't. It's really just it's goofy, dude. It's goofy.
Okay.
I don't know how this band exists, but I love it.
Yeah, I don't know how they keep on like just pumping out albums like every few months.
Oh man.
So, oh man, what was my other news? Oh boy. I mean, so I guess the biggest news that we kind of have at the moment that lends itself to time travel is it was cracking me up a few days ago before they started their Swanfest tour in support of Dance Gavin Dance. Periphery band member Jake Wellen was just like, wow, guys, it leaked. And literally all the band was like, excuse me?
Yeah, everyone in the band was like, it what?
Yeah.
And then, hey, what ended up happening at Swanfest?
They tweeted out, hey, if you come up to our merch table early at Swanfest, you can get the new album.
Yeah, so at the
and
first
apparently
day of
trusted
Swanfest,
people to not post it online.
The fools, the absolute fools.
Opening day.
Maybe this is why Misha doesn't make any money off Periphery.
Gee. Because he keeps selling all of his cars at fucking concerts.
Was that a low blow? I don't know. Who cares?
Oh well, it's a meme at this point.
Probably would have sounded better through a precision drive anyway.
Yeah, like I legitimately saw no like. I think they did that on purpose. This is all probably a marketing thing since they're completely independent at the moment. Like,
yeah,
you can't just
didn't care.
You can't just hand out physical copies of your thing thinking it won't get posted online. Like they had to have done that yesterday and just went, yeah, we're just gonna post the album stream tomorrow because fuck it.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of which, yeah, you just said it right there.
Yeah.
Periphery actually has officially posted a leak of their own album.
Yeah, I mean at that point it's not even a leak. They were just like, oh, well, apparently it's leaking, quote unquote, so we're just gonna leak it ourselves so you can hear it from us.
I mean, it's technically a leak because it's only available on their YouTube channel, youtube.com/periphery. It's only available there. You can't find it on Spotify or Google Music or anything like that yet. So
really?
It's technically a leak. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's like they literally were like, yeah, they were like, we're just gonna leak it ourselves, and because like
I think
if they're doing it independent, they might have like whatever distro they're going through might have a set date that they can't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, you can't like
they can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's their music and it's they're doing it themselves, like they can put it out really whenever they want.
Yeah, those bad boys are about to generate a lot of traffic on YouTube then.
Yeah, they are.
That's hilarious.
About to make the revenue, the ad bucks.
Yeah, I mean, probably because we want to do Whitechapel next, and then there's a bunch of other shit that came out, man. But yeah, we'll probably get around to talk about that eventually. Like, Jesus. I'd rather have a lot of like listen time for it personally.
Maybe we'll get to the all of the March releases by the time we get to June. Who knows?
So, God damn, dude, that album is. It subverts in a lot of places. It's pretty good.
They did it, dude.
They did it.
They fucking did it.
I can't believe they did it.
They fucking did it. And if you're confused about what we mean by it, just listen to the goddamn album and you'll know by the end of it. They fucking did it.
It. So,
satellites.
Yeah, I swear to God, I had some other news, but I just don't know what it was.
That's fine. We're going long on the news anyway. We're almost 20 minutes.
It's cool.
Yeah. Whatever.
Anyway,
we want to just go into the review.
Yeah, I forgot what my joke transition on this was in that other timeline, but it's fine.
Oh shit! Quick, duck. All right, like I said in the intro, the album we're going to be discussing today is Michigan-based post-hardcore band La Dispute's newest record, Panorama. It came out on March 22nd, 2019 on Epitaph Records. And boy howdy, is this one hell of a good album. Oh my God. Am I right, Micah?
It super is. Yeah, and I have some really interesting like observations for why it's so good. I would say once we get into them.
Okay, so
but
to
I
start
think
off,
we should probably start. Since there's so few, we should talk about negatives first to get them out of the way.
Perfect. Took the words right out of my mouth.
I just knew you were going to say it.
Oh, wow. I feel like we've had this conversation before. I really hate to be a listener to this podcast, dude. I'd be so confused.
They're just like going back.
I'm so glad I don't have to listen to my own shit. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so let's start off with the negatives of this album. Well, I'm not even gonna make it a plural. Let's start off with the negative of this album. So
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, what? Could you not hear me? Could you not hear me? Hey. This is
Michael?
This is my biggest problem with the album. This right here, what you're hearing, or what you're not hearing, this is my biggest problem with the album. You hear that, William? Do you hear that, William?
I don't... What? I don't think he heard you. Turn your gain up.
So, yeah, to elaborate on that, this album is so fantastic.
Yep. Instruments mixed amazingly. Like, honestly. Let's talk about that,
Okay, so for those unaware, this album was mixed and produced and engineered by Will Yip,
who reamped all the guitars on the 10th anniversary edition of Somewhere at the Bottom of the River Between Altair and Vega.
Vega and
Altair, and they're fucking great. I was like, as I got halfway through, I was like, I don't remember the name of this.
I know it's confusing. But
those guitars are great, and these guitars are fantastic.
And
drums great.
Okay, so Will Yip, this is that was my only known like listening of anything Will Yip has ever produced. So when I heard that he was going to be doing this entire album, I had high hopes that the mixing was going to be fantastic and it was going to sound like a really good album, because the biggest thing with La Dispute is their vocals, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The guitars and the drums are important for melody and rhythm wise, but La Dispute, if you're unaware of the band, is like they're a post-hardcore band, but the vocals are essentially a mixture of screaming and slam poetry over top usually energetic instrumentation up until this album and their last album. Well, some of this album. Mm-hmm. So because of that, you kind of want the vocals to be a little higher in the mix because they're important, because it's essentially slam poetry.
It's almost like the content of the lyrics are important for the emotional response of the listener. Yeah,
exactly. So like for the biggest example I can use off Panorama is Fulton Street 1. I think this was this was the first single they put out for the album.
And it's also the opening track.
And it is also the opening track.
It's the first impression you get of the album.
Yep. And it starts off so quietly, you can't even like really hear the first words of the track. Yep. And that setup is so important for the lead in to the hook of the track, which is it sounds like it's trying to garner this huge emotional response from you, the listener, but you have no setup for it. But but you can't hear the lead up to it. And like, it's the mixing. I knew when I first heard this song, I knew, oh my God, the rest of the album is going to sound like this. I really like the instrumentation. So I was all gung ho for like buying the album, but I saw they put out a companion lyric and like context book, I guess you could call it. That explains the stories behind every track on the album, called Monuments and Plywood, and it's a really nice book, by the way, hardcover, good size and everything, really great printing. But I knew once I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna have to fucking get that, because I can't, like, I could not hear what he was saying. I didn't know the first words of Fulton Street 1 were "found a body by the rest stop hidden beneath the leaves," until I got the album, until I got the LP on Friday. Took the lyric sheet out and read it.
What format were you listening on most of the time?
Digital, anything digital.
I mean, like, vinyl, sorry, like, I guess like in your car, like, or
my studio headphones I'm listening with right now, to us recording, like,
really, and you still never really picked up on that.
It was just, it seriously, like, I could not hear it. like clear enough. It was always like way too low in the mix, and like the buildup was always just way too quiet. God. And that's like it's not a problem. I think that goes consistently throughout the album, and that's what bothers me.
Super doesn't. Well, so it's hysterical because the beginning of that song, even the instruments are low
quiet
volume. Yeah, because and it's like, and you still can't hear the vocals. Quartz. Yeah, and you still can't hear the vocals over the instruments. Like, that's
it's like
ridiculous.
He used the same slider for the guitars and the vocals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they went together.
Yeah, and it's just a bummer because the only times you can really ever hear the vocals on this album are when he screams. And even then, they're still kind of low in the mix. Like,
yeah, but what's he screaming about, though?
Yeah, and you have no context for it. And I mean, it's just...
Why is he screaming?
It's just a big bummer to hear this kind of a mix on such an already spacious and almost ambient album for the most part, that like I don't need the vocals to be hidden as much as they are. Mm-hmm. Like I would prefer them to be almost on top of the mix rather than hidden in it. Like
and like like as a listener who has literally only heard the 10th anniversary of Somewhere at the Bottom, like that's literally the only album I have heard. When you spook that up, the what's the name of the song, the opening track? I can never remember.
Somewhere
at the Bottom. Yeah. The one that
said the king to the river.
Maybe it's just I saw you in my sleep, darling. Like
those such small hands.
Yeah, such small. Those vocals are absurdly loud, and it's great because they should be. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand how you can come into production for Law Dispute knowing that that's like one of their most popular things and like do this. You know?
Yeah.
It's like he was mixing to make a Will Yip album.
Yeah, it's just,
you know,
it just really sucks because I
no
really
context.
like the lyrics in almost every Law Dispute record. And it really sucks that I can't hear most of them. And I will say, as the songs progress, I feel like the lyrics the vocals get a little better in the mix with the songs. I still think the biggest offenders on this album, though, are In Northern Michigan, Fulton Street 1 for sure, and then parts of the 7-minute closing track, You Ascendant. Mm-hmm. And that really sucks because You Ascendant is one of my favorite tracks on the album. It's such a good build up and release, and there's just some parts where he's still really quiet in the mix and it kind of ruins it a little bit.
Yeah, because it's like you talked about slam poetry, so he's literally, there's moments where it's as if he, like, you know, you can imagine standing away from the mic and just like yelling it, not singing or screaming, but you're just like yelling out like just emotions and words, and it's like you can't hear it. It's like,
and even moments where it sounds like he's like right up on the microphone and like whispering into it, like you can barely hear those, and that sucks because that sound like that's supposed to be like a big emotional response, you know, kind of thing. It's like
like it kind of removes the subtlety of it, which is so. But I think that kind of covers it.
Yeah.
We don't have to go too far into it.
To avoid going on the long rant about Will Yip's production. That is honestly
basically
my biggest and only complaint about this album. This is not the same Law Dispute you would have heard on Somewhere at the Bottom, or even,
it is not.
Or even Wildlife, the album that came between Somewhere at the Bottom and Rooms of the House. Like
it's much more mature.
It is a more it is a less chaotic post-hardcore. It's a more ambient lyric, and like it's hard to call it lyrically focused after what we just talked about. But
I think it's an overall, like, I don't know, like lyrically focused, but I think overall all of the songwriting is much more focused compared to the other album.
It just sounds more refined. It sounds like it sounds like they've found the sound they want to continue on, and they definitely improved upon it because they started this sound that they use on this album. I feel like they started this kind of either towards the end of Wildlife or just straight up on Rooms of the House. Which I hope to God that's actually the album's name. I can't remember. I'm pretty positive. but yeah, like this sounds like a maturation from the sound they started with on Rooms of the House, and I'm really happy with that because I wasn't a fan of that album that much. So I'm glad they kind of stuck with that same style but found a way to make it better, like, to me, I guess.
Yeah, like I always respect that when, like, I think all bands have that moment where they shift sound, and that first album where they try to do it, like, no matter how much of a shift it was, like, it kind of has a few duds in some aspects, you know? But
right.
Yeah, no, I always love when they stick with it and try to, like, just improve upon it, and, like, because you only get good products out of it if you, like, actually commit.
Right. And it's just, yeah. Man, I don't know. My thoughts are just, all over the place on this album.
I'd rather full ass it than half ass it, basically.
True.
The whole ass.
Yeah, so
yes, getting into, I guess, since we focus so much on vocals at the start, I think that
let's make some big points on why we think this is good.
Yeah.
Let's hit the really big points. You go first.
I feel he has definitely refined his vocal style coming off of the Somewhere at the Bottom remaster. I think that sometimes there are just some slight moments in that where I can feel like they are very exaggerated or something to me, where I could easily feel like I imagine showing Somewhere at the Bottom to somebody and it might be a bit much, like, his vocal style, but I think that he's really refined it to be, like, more universally, like, accessible on this album.
Yeah, they definitely went with the more spoken word style of vocals on this album, as opposed to albums before Rooms of the House, because, like I said, that's really where this sound kind of started, I think, for this band. So while there is some, like, screamed vocals on this album, which I really enjoy.
I love them. Yes.
Anxiety Panorama, for example.
I guess I just remember it being slightly whiny at some moments for me in Somewhere at the Bottom, and that's, like, I feel like that's entirely removed on this.
Yeah, I mean, that'll, you would hope that would happen after 12 years of progress.
Yeah.
From that album. So it's like, that's really good to actually hear that. I think a lot of high points in this album, like, despite how much we were complaining about Williams' mixing of the vocals, he actually, I think, does a really good job on the instrumentational mixing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, these tracks all... Oh, yeah, there's a lot of bass on it. He likes bass.
Yeah, it's kind of the problem, but at the same time, like, it mixes well with the other instruments.
Yeah. So to avoid getting back into that pitfall of a discussion,
dig up, stupid.
This album does, speaking of, like, the instrumentation, this album does a really good job of, like, every song being dynamic and separate from each other, but also maintaining a similar theme.
What did your doppelganger describe it as? Like a winding river?
Yeah. The comparison I like to make with I would like to make with this album is where it's like it all flows in a very consistent way, but every track is different enough to make you feel like it's breaking up, kind of like you just kind of gave away with the winding river analogy. So, like, you're going down this river and all of a sudden you go around a corner and you're like, oh wow, this is new, but it's the same river. And then you go around another corner and, oh wow, this is new, but it's the same river. And it just
different
keeps
rock,
doing
same
that.
river.
Yeah, just keeps doing that kind of stuff, and it's like it's really good because it keeps my interest.
The
only low point in the album for me is, like, in Northern Michigan. I don't lose interest, but I zone out during that song a lot. Which kind of sucks because it starts off, it has a really good bass line, like, throughout the entire thing, and the bass is really, like, central to the song.
Yeah, I would agree, because In Northern Michigan's the first song after the Fulton Street parts, right?
If it's not, it's after Anxiety Panorama.
Oh, it might be after Anxiety Panorama.
I think it's after Anxiety Panorama.
I clicked on too many of the most recent releases, and now it's not in my recent activity. Oh, I totally forgot about Rotten Night and Grief.
Yeah, it's after Anxiety Panorama.
It's way in there. But yeah, I would agree that I started, when I listened to it the first time, I think I did start to feel tonally exhausted to an extent, especially after the 2 parts of Fulton Street, because that's about 9 minutes of song. on its own.
Yeah, about.
That's a lot of emotion to feel for that long, I would say. But
and
I
then
think
it goes
that
right into Rhodonite and Grief, though.
yeah, and I think that they eventually kind of bring it back between Anxiety Panorama and like View from Our Bedroom Window, you know?
Probably one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. There's a lot of good pacing. Like, I think that they know when the album starts to be a little daunting for the listener, so that they like bring it back for certain things where things like Anxiety Panorama, where one of the things that I wanted to bring up that I love about the songwriting is, yes, it is like very slam poetry in a sense, where there's a lot of spoken word. So you have like these melodies going over spoken word, but then it's even more effective when the vocals actually take on melodies of their own that follow the instruments. And I think that those are some of the strongest, because I was praising Somewhere at the Bottom when we did that discussion for how rocky it can get, and the moments where this album actually gets rocky and the vocals are actually singing something, not just like screams, but like actually singing alongside the instruments, I think that that's some of the strongest moments for sure.
Yeah. And like a perfect example of that is, like, did you mention Anxiety Panorama when you were talking about that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, because that's like a huge example of that. Fulton Street 2 kind of follows that a little bit. Like right now.
Yeah. Is that what we're on? Like in our little yeah. Moments like this, basically then, Fulton Street 2 at the very beginning. Yeah.
And then View from Our Bedroom Window, I think you mentioned, also kind of does that, right?
Yes. I can never remember if it's in Northern Michigan or View from Our Bed. It is View from Our Bedroom Window that
has that lead guitar.
It starts out. Yes, it starts out like pretty. I don't know if Jeroni is the right word, but it starts out like with a very like a bass oriented kind of thing at the start, but then it goes into just like this almost lullaby, like just lead guitar where like everything falls away, like all the backing stuff, and it's just like lead guitar, drums, bass, and like the vocalist.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, honestly, just overall on this album, the things it does right, the songwriting is fantastic. The pacing, like we both mentioned, is fantastic. The dynamic, like the dynamicness, is that a word, of the album? And how
dynamicity. No, it's not a word.
The dynamicity of our city.
Of our city.
There we go. That's my shitty joke for the episode.
Oh god, dude.
As if the intro wasn't one.
That was pretty shitty, man.
Yeah, you're right. I don't apologize. I'm not sorry.
Can we talk about how good There You Are Hiding Place is, though?
Yeah.
That might be like honestly, that might be my favorite one.
Yeah?
I'm gonna be honest.
What did you like about it so much that it grabs your favorite spot?
I might have to listen to it again specific? To remember, but I just know that it stood out above the rest for me. It do you hear that?
No, I don't hear anything.
What's that clicking?
Nothing. I actually really like the guitars in There You Are Hiding Place a lot. That's probably one of my favorite things. It's like the very like ambient tremoloed guitars in the background.
Yeah, for me, I think that it just compiles all of the elements that I like from Law Dispute for the most part into a single song, I would say. I really love the cleaner guitars, and it utilizes the spoken word really well. And if I remember right, it does also pick up into a proper melody with the vocals as well. Yeah, it's just all the elements that I was describing that I love about it. And
it comes right before the closer track, which
7 minutes and 15 seconds long.
And like Law Dispute's not really known for hella long songs. Like
so between
Somewhere at the Bottom has a 12-minute long song on it, but like that's the only one. King Park is like 7 minutes long.
Still never noticed that song's 12 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It flies by. Yeah. But yeah, between the 7-minute song and then essentially a 9-minute song with the Fulton Street parts, like there's some long boys on this album. It's like 46 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah,
what do you like about You Ascendant?
What do I like about You Ascendant? I like the progression of that song a lot. I like how it starts off very simple with the very sparse drum beat. And then it just kind of comes in with him doing just, poetry over it, kind of. I like the guitar that comes in about halfway through with the that little like riff.
Yeah.
That kind of guitaring, that kind of guitar riffage will always tickle me in a way that just makes me really happy for some reason. It's a very good way to like subtly try and pull an emotion from somebody, just a little like just out of nowhere during some intense lyrics and all that stuff. Like, and some very, like I said, sparse and spacious and ambient instrumentation up until that point. So I just think that song specifically has like the most intricacies in it with like how everything is arranged like arrangement wise. That is probably the most intricate song on the album to like convey everything properly.
Yeah, I mean, in general, these guys are kind of masters at wringing out emotions out of the listener, I think. And a lot of it comes from the way that the vocals are, because, I mean, poetry, that's the essence of poetry, emotion.
Right.
But, yeah, like little touches like that where you throw in just very short little tiny guitar licks like that, you're always going to get. Like, that shows just knowledge on their part.
They know when
it's not
to
just
try
the
and
poetry
tug
part.
at you.
Yeah.
So to avoid just rambling forever and ever, some final thoughts. I think unless you have anything. Remaster when. Very true.
Let's just do it ourselves.
I wish
if
it was
it's so
easy.
easy.
I wish it was that easy. Let me just throw this stuff into my dollar real quick and just raise like the 1K knob about halfway up and we'll be good.
Yeah, so I mean, I would absolutely. I would love to listen to this again, especially for the songs that really stand out. Where the parts of "There You Are" hiding place that are my favorite in our background music at the moment that the listener can't hear. And
never will. Unless they listen to the album along with us.
Yeah, they can just do that. Just, kind of guess where we jumped around in our playlist.
It's fine.
Yeah, and I would absolutely recommend this to someone that has not. I think that this is a very accessible album for a new listener, I would say.
Yeah, I would say if you've never listened to La Dispute before and you like see this, if you saw this release and you're like, that looks interesting.
It looks interesting.
I would go for it. Yeah, okay, speaking of which, just a really quick point, speaking of it looking interesting, the album art is like nothing they've ever fucking done before.
I don't know that it matches tonally, necessarily, unless there's context I'm missing.
The colors kind of do, like, because like the album deals a lot with crystals and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so there's a couple songs where he mentions black tourmaline. And,
I was gonna say, like, the only note that I took for this when I was trying to take notes for it was just, "Yo, he said tourmaline. That's what I got for my vinyl."
Now there was a bunch of in the hardcover book Monuments in Plywood. There was actually a pretext for the rose quartz section. It was talking about how like crystals and like the crystal spiritualism took a big part of like influence in this album. I can't remember the reasoning, but that's like the reason you have like the songs like Rose Quartz and you have Rhodonite and Grief, and then you've got mentions of black tourmaline, and I believe it's actually in You Ascendant that he talks about a lot of the crystals.
Interesting. That's a cool theme. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's a really cool theme, and
it's interesting.
Like, I don't know if you can still get the hardcover book, the companion like context book for this album, but if you can, I recommend getting it. It's really cool. They've got some really cool info in there, and I think there's I can't remember if there's pictures in it or not, but I'm pretty sure there's like photos and stuff of like recording sessions and all that in there. It's a really good companion book. I highly recommend it. It's well worth the money.
I don't think I've ever heard of an album or anything where they use essentially just like crystals and minerals to drive like connotations of words.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. That's a really cool like kind of gimmick to go for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up,
Michael.
What would you say? What would you say?
What would I say? It sounds good.
Shut up.
Well, wait. That's not necessarily a true statement. It does. It sounds 70% good.
I would honestly
80% good.
Despite the vocal mixing shortcomings on the album, despite Will Yip's shortcomings on this album, I would still probably give this at least an 8 out of 10.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that
It's fantastic. Like the songwriting makes up for not being able to hear the lyrics sometimes, because just the instrumentation alone is interesting enough and ear-catching enough to be like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, I kept on forgetting to make the point. I love that you did mention that it's a very spacious album.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive to me because nowadays I feel like open and spacious and especially the term atmospheric would lend itself to electronic sounds. They do all of this with just their instruments, I would say, for the most part, except Rose Quartz that has some
right there
electronics, and there's probably some very subtle electronic parts, but like for the most part, all of the atmosphere in this just comes from their instruments, and that's very impressive. It's from the songwriting.
It's a lot of space gained with very few tools.
Yes,
and that
absolutely
has to be fantastic.
Yeah. So,
but yeah,
all right.
What would you say? That's really my closing thoughts.
I guess you gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. Really fantastic album. Like you said, it's really accessible. I think it's some of their best songwriting to date. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've pretty much given
it's the best
all my
modern
reasons,
Law Dispute, you would say.
Oh yeah, it's the best,
awesome.
Like the best modern iteration that they could have possibly done at this point. Like, I hope they continue to go in this direction forward.
So yeah, anything interesting in your life musically, I guess, to close out the show, except for the 10 albums that came out?
No. USPS took my fucking passes prologue. What's prologue is past? What a fucking vinyl back.
That's interesting.
No, it's not.
We time traveled. That's interesting.
Yeah, we time traveled. That's interesting enough, right?
So,
speaking of which, I think our time is almost up.
No, Michael.
Quick.
No, I forgot a bit of my news. Guess what's coming?
Oh my God, what?
I literally, I forgot that I put it in my phone notes and not on the Word document.
What?
No one asked for it. Senpai EP3 is coming.
I asked for it. What are you talking about? I specifically messaged Sithu I about this.
Oh God, he made like a hilarious tweet about it. I can't remember like what his exact wording was though.
I swear to God, I commented on one of his posts and Gent shit posting asking him where the fuck Senpai EP3 was. I'm almost positive I remember doing this. If not, I thought it in my head. God damn it. That's exciting. It's alright.
Yep. I can't.
Weed music for the money.
Yeah. He was just essentially. He was like, yeah, none of you asked for it, but support me on Patreon. So yeah, honestly, yeah. If he ups the ante on that,
absolutely wonderful. Sithu I is a fantastic guitarist.
He's a great man. Yeah. So that'll close it out. I've just been listening. We got a lot of homework to do.
Yeah, we do. Whew, oh boy. Well, you know what? Well, hopefully when we get back in the future, our future selves will already have done it.
So stop distracting me, listener, with your sexual wiles. Get out. I have to get the notebook out. I have to study.
I can't spend all night drawing you, listener.
Get out. My mom's coming. Get out.